the summer of 1828, an Irish brig named the Mary Russell sailed home from the West Indies, seemingly successful and intact, the crew shouting and lively as they boarded. But when she arrived at port in County Cork, the scene on board was something out of a nightmare. The captain stood alone, and 7 crewmen lay butchered in their beds. Chapter 1. The voyage begins. What drove a respected captain to commit one of the most brutal maritime massacres in history? And why does this case remain a deeply unsettling mystery nearly 2 centuries later? This is the forgotten story of Mary Russell, the ship of 7 murders. The Mary Russell was a brig-class merchant ship, sturdy and unremarkable. Her captain, William Stewart, was a respected man in his early 40s, educated, sober, deeply religious. His prior voyages were marked by discipline and efficiency, not violence. His crew respected him, and he respected them. A well-loved captain. In May of 1828, the merchant ship Mary Russell set sail from Barbados, bound for Ireland. Aboard were its crew and a guest, Captain James Rains. It was supposed to be a routine return, but it quickly became anything but. The crew was seen, before setting sail, in a tavern huddled around a table. No cards were played, but an intense conversation was observed. Men wagging fingers and fists slammed. The captain not with them that night. One crew member was seen with a strange dagger, almost ritual-like in shape and size. Why he had it, or even if it was used that night, nobody knows. The men stayed sober that night and all left with solemn faces. An unusual behaviour for sailors at that time. Chapter 2. Madness or Conspiracy? In Stewart's personal journal, strange observations begin to appear. Mentions of crewmen plotting against him. Paranoia. He wrote of secret meetings in the galley, whispered oaths in the night, and an unnamed fear that grew with each day. There was no mutiny, no violence recorded. Yet, Stewart claimed he was being watched, haunted by an invisible conspiracy.
They come not for the ship, but for my soul. I must act before the evil is complete.
Historians now believe Captain Stewart may have suffered from psychosis or paranoid schizophrenia, a condition unrecognized in his time. But whatever the cause, his delusions turned deadly. In his mind, the ship had turned against him, and its crew were demons risen from hell. Suspicion soon spread to the first mate, William Smith, who dared question Stewart's dream-driven suspicions. Smith was seized, bound, and locked in a cramped storage space beneath the cabin. On June 21st, about 300 miles from County Cork, Stewart ordered the sails drawn in, slowing their progress. That same day, he began summoning crew members to the cabin, one by one, under false pretenses. Each was led down by an apprentice and tied up under threat of violence. One man, Howes, was tied up and left on the half-deck. 7 others, including Captain Rains, were bound inside the cabin. Smith remained imprisoned below. Stewart had the men trussed with ropes, even fastening their necks to floor bolts. The apprentices, perhaps swayed by promises of reward or simply frightened, helped carry out the orders. Later that evening, Howes managed to partially escape. A scuffle followed. He was shot, beaten with an axe, and attacked by the young assistants, yet somehow managed to hide among the cargo. Stewart believed he was dead and moved on. With the crew subdued, Stewart raised a distress flag, hoping another ship would help bring him and his prisoners to shore for justice. 2 vessels passed but did not stop. Taking this as a sign from God, Stewart concluded that more blood needed to be spilled. Chapter 3. The Murders. On July 21st, 1828, Stewart crept silently through the ship with a mallet and blade. One by one, he murdered 7 crewmen, some as they slept, others as they begged for their lives. He smashed skulls, slit throats, and dragged bodies into the hold. The murder scene was later described as horrific, gory, unrecognizable remains strewn across the floor. There they laid lifeless as the boat drew on closer to its destination. Only the cabin boy was spared. Stewart said the boy was pure of heart. The child remained locked in a cabin for the remainder of the journey. Cowered in a corner, eyes locked on a door he wished would never open. After the massacre, Stewart relaxed. He had food and ale brought to him and smoked a pipe, satisfied with what he saw as fulfilling divine justice. Blood still seeped through the floorboards. The next morning, Stewart decided to tie up the apprentices as well. But young Thomas Hammond was spared and handed a pistol. Stewart told him that if he tried anything, Thomas should shoot him. He remained at his position for the rest of the journey, gripping his helm, alone sailing into the night, humming to himself, a grin on his face, as in his mind the evil was vanquished. Chapter 4. The Trial. When the Mary Russell docked in Cove, then called Queenstown, authorities were stunned. A lone man walked from the deck of the ship down the pier, with a walk of determination and the look of content. The captain, calm and composed, confessed. Said he had saved the ship from damnation.
Was I not brave to kill so many?
He reportedly asked. What the police found on that boat could barely be believed. Men found crawling from their beds, dead in a pool of blood at their doors. Cut so badly, some were unrecognizable. Removed limbs, torn throats, the acts of a butcher, not a captain. The trial was swift but not simple. The defense argued insanity. The prosecution pressed for punishment. Public opinion was deeply divided. Was Stewart a prophet of divine justice, or a madman with bloodied hands? At the time, people in Ireland were deeply religious. They heard the captain's claims of devils at sea to be honest, his actions to be just, and his tales of conversations and actions of the crew to be pure evil at work. The sheer brutality and the moral certainty he spoke with, it terrified people. It was like looking into a broken mirror of faith. People knew his character to be strong and his faith even stronger. A reliable man, one of kindness and compassion. This fueled the controversy of the trial even more. Stewart was committed to an asylum in Cork, where he lived for over 20 years. His writings never ceased. He continued to speak of demons, divine instruction, and betrayal. Chapter 5: The Legacy. The Mary Russell was sold, renamed, and eventually lost at sea a decade later. Stewart died in confinement, his story largely forgotten outside of obscure Irish maritime records. But whispers of the murders linger in local folklore. Some say the minds of a few men at sea turn evil and twisted, and you can never know who or what will return on the boats at night. The man and his actions were quickly swept away, and his name and history hidden. Was William Stewart a man broken by the sea, or was there something darker aboard the Mary Russell? A secret we'll never uncover. A curse so sinister, it haunts those alone so far from others. Isolated, drifting at night to the endless rocking of the ship from the waves. Who really knows what happens in that expanse? So much space, so much emptiness, so many mysteries hidden in the mist and the fog. Thank you for watching. If you'd like more forgotten mysteries and maritime legends, subscribe and turn on notifications. Until next time, stay curious and beware the abyss of the sea.